Hi everyone. Today we're talking about what is prompt engineering, why it is important, and what are some ideal steps that you should follow to write a good prompt with examples. So let's get started. So basically, we'll first of all start at what is a prompt. So prompt is an input that we give as a user to either Chat GPT or any other LLM. Fine, but then what is prompt engineering? So it is like designing that input. This sounds a bit awkward. Like, why you need to design your question? Like, you have a question, you ask. Usually, you get an answer from Chat GPT also, right? So, why is the requirement of designing and like putting an effort into improving that prompt? So, I will tell you. So, if you take a step back and try to understand what is Chat GPT and LLM. So, Chat GPT or an LLM is nothing. Is not a human being. It's a machine learning model, right? It is not as smart as you and me, so like which can understand slangs, it can understand incomplete sentences, it can understand a wrong English. It might not be in some cases, it might be for some of the easiest tasks, but for complex it might not be able to understand it. So to improve, to make sure that you get the best results from Chat GPT or from any other LLM, you should try to improve the input that you're trying to give to the LLM, so that you don't get average answers. So this is something that you might have also observed, that even when you are like the same question with different verses, different vocabulary gives you different answers. Why? Because in some of the cases the prompt becomes very good, in other cases it becomes bad. That's the only case. It's not that it has gained some extra information once you are providing it some other text. It's not the case. So again, because internally it's all mathematics that is going on. It is not understanding the language as you and me. Just remember this. So what do we mean by high quality prompt? So we'll be talking about 4 to 5 principles that you can keep in your head, that I usually keep in my head. So let's get started. First one is direction. In the prompt, include whatever information you can include about the task you want to. Don't let the LM or Chat GPT make any assumptions, because it will be it, and for some of the cases the assumptions would be very very bad. So, like for example, if you look at an example, prepare me a one-day itinerary for Kurg, India. Now you can see that you have provided the task, but haven't given you enough details. Now, in the second prompt, as you can see, starting from 10 a.m. to 8 a.m., don't include places which are 10 kilometers from city center, etc., etc. So you have provided the many rules and regulations. So the more information you provided, the more context you provided, the better the output would be. Because like in the first case, what will happen? If you input this particular prompt multiple times, the itinerary would start from different timings. Like at times, the LM would be giving output starting from 7 a.m., 6 a.m., 5 a.m. You don't want to wake up at 5 a.m., right? So mention the time, mention the distance, what are your restrictions and all. The more information you give it, the better the answers you will get. Format. There's a problem that I've seen in many guys. Like if you want the output in a particular desired format, you need to mention it. Suggest, like for example, suggest me some good names for my text starter based on AI services. Now, if you input this particular prompt, you for the first time you might get a list, the other time you might get a bullet point, you might get numbered list, whatever you can get, because you haven't mentioned the output format. This might confuse the learner. If you mention the output format also, the output should be multiple names separated by comma and no extra text apart from names. You will get a definite output, and eventually, such a prompt you can use for production level things also, where you are expecting a definite format, right? You can ask for formats like JSON, YML, etc. Providing an example, I think this is the most important part that people forget. So this is coming from zero shot, one shot, and few shot learning. The more examples you provide about the task that you're giving, the results provided by the LLM or Chat GPT will take a huge boost. You won't believe me, but that's the truth. Suggest me some places for vacation, suggest some places for summer vacation, for example, Agra, Jaipur, Jaipur, Jaisalmer. Now just try yourself these two prompts, and eventually we'll see that in the first prompt, it will be giving you random places all around the globe. You might not be that rich that you are flying all over the world, so you want to restrict yourself to a particular area. Once you're providing the sample locations that you have in your head, eventually it will make out that you want to visit some place in India only, so it'll start suggesting places around these places only. So this is how examples would work out. This is a very general case. In cases like where you want to extract named entity, or where you want to have text tagging, in such cases that could take a huge boost in the performance in the metrics that you are calculating. The fourth one being, you need to have some evaluation metrics aligned with the output that you are getting. So the first one can be the evals framework provided by OpenAI. I haven't jumped into it yet, but I will soon. Second is like providing a constant feedback. So once you get an output from it, eventually you can question it back. Even if the answer looks correct to you, like for example, you ask it for an itinerary from Kurg, eventually it will give you an answer, but still you can question it back. Can you improve it? This answer looks average. Can you add this detail, that detail? In this way, your answers will improve, and that particular session the LM will also understand what the user want. So in this particular sample you can see this suggest me some names for grocery shop. It suggests the output is below par as these names are very common. Suggest me something fresh. It suggests you something fresh. Now see that I have given it a feedback that the answer that you given a very common name, that is why it is below par. So once you give it a feedback, the next time it will work on that feedback and give you a better answer. The third one is permutation prompting. This is done when you are going for some production related deployments where you're going to use this prompt for production deployment. So you want to tune your prompt, right? So here what you can do that you can create a base template, write an essay on cricket in tone using complexity. So these are two variables. Now we'll have multiple values for these variables: harsh, formal, soft, informal, easy, intermediate ones, and then we'll generate a list of prompts. Write an essay on English in formal tone using easy English. Write an essay on cricket in formal tone using advanced English. Like this, you will have multiple combinations, and then you can test out all these prompts that you generated using the template and check out which prompt is performing the best. Divide, the last one, but the most important one. Don't ask LM too many things in a single task. Try to break it down. So, for example, write an essay on cow and extract pure tax for the tokens in the essay. These are multiple tasks getting in done. It might get the LM might get confused. So instead, you can break this into two tasks. Write an essay on cow, extract pure tax from the tokens in the above output. So the easier you make things for LM, the better the answers you will get. It's as easy as that. A few points to note: if you're not sure about every detail about your task, fine, there are certain things that you might not be knowing. These are the rules and regulations I should keep in my head. So you can first of all ask the LLM itself to generate the rules and regulation for the task, and then eventually ask it to follow his own advice. So what practices one should follow to write a technical blog? The LLM will give you an answer. Use the above pointers to write a blog on AI. So in that case, you are not providing any, you are not putting any effort, and eventually uh, using its own advice, the LLM will, following the rules and regulation, will write a tech block for you. The more examples you give, the less creative the output becomes. That does make sense, because once you have started providing examples, you're restricting its area of thought, right? So if your problem statements requires creativity, try to provide less examples. But if it is more of a definite task, go with examples. While using examples, you can even provide rating systems also. Like for example, as I showed in that key, suggest me some summer vacation places. You can add ratings also, 10 on 10, 5 on 10, 0 on 10. So this will help the model understand which examples are good, which examples are bad. Evaluation systems, like, you might not be interested in using it if you're using it for journal purposes, but when you're going for production level things, this becomes very crucial, because at business level people talks in terms of metrics, right? So, and the biggest pain point that I have figured out till now using LMs is calculating any sort of a metric. Don't oversimplify a prompt to follow divide. And the last one would be, there would be certain tasks that might look simple to you, but eventually might require multiple tasks internally, right? So in that case, ask the LLM to divide the task internally. Like, for example, going step by step, rate the below names for an AI setup on a scale of 10. Magic AI, AI by Kilo Tech Back. So here you can see that I've written going step by step. So naming, like for example, if I give you a task to name something, you would be thinking of multiple aspects before naming it. This goes with LLM also. So once you write going step by step, eventually it will give it time to think. It will break down what are the steps I need to remember for naming something, and eventually it will follow it. This is how you can start off with prompt engineering. You can improve your ordinary prompts into good ones and get good results.